we'll talk about what's been mentioned in the news today. Some sources, including BBC Sport, The Independent, The Times, etc., have been talking about it all day, and it is quite interesting, Jack. We've had rumours of this for years. I remember even when in the 2000s there was rumours of Australia being part of the Six Nations. Now, at this moment in time, from what I've been reading, it sounds as though South Africa are rumoured to join in 2023. There's no confirmation of that. That's just in the woodwork. They're then thinking of it being an 8-team event. They haven't said what year, but that's just in the plans. Fiji have shared their interest to say that they would like to join and play home games in France. I mean, what do you think of this, Jack? Because I think you were saying to me on the phone before we went on air, you were favouring it. I for one, I like it as it is. I think the schedule's enough, and I think it would lose the limelight of trying to get a Grand Slam, because I always think more teams, more matches to do that. It's difficult. What do you think about this, Jack?
Totally. It's. I think it's exciting for rugby in general. It shows that, just because a tournament has been in place for, however long it has, and same with the championship, with currently Argentina, South Africa, Australia and New Zealand, it really does show that, one, the Six Nations is just so highly regarded as a tournament in itself. And secondly, that, although it isn't broken, still, look to change things, really shake things up. And I think maybe slightly the pressure's coming from, the likes of Japan and Fiji that are really interested in joining, the championship. I think that was something that was kind of rumoured, that talks were happening before Christmas last year. And, although if something was to go ahead, it wouldn't happen till 2023, 2024. But, that time goes quite quickly. But I think until, like you say, I think if it was to extend any more than 6 teams, I know exactly what you mean. It's, there's more, you're pulling more players away from club rugby. There's more pressure on the international stage, and you'd have to lose fixtures somewhere, and you'd have to lose teams as well. I don't think you could make it bigger. But what you could do is, like we said before, whether you have a tier below. So you have the Six Nations, and then you have a tier below that. But again, what it does show is the smaller teams, well, that, we'd see, they've probably got a lot less funding, like your Fiji, your Samoa. They're wanting to get involved. They're wanting more international rugby, and you can't blame them for that. Rugby is their culture, their life. So they want to be involved in these big stages. So then, when it comes to a World Cup, they don't feel as if they are always the underdogs. They've got a real contention at winning.
I think I when you just mentioned that, the tier, I welcome that. I think it's been suggested before, and I've always favoured that routine instead, which is, as you say, the bottom team. Like, for example, it most likely will be Italy this year. It'll be them getting relegated, and then it should be a team taking over their spot for 1 year, and then, of course, it swaps each year with, I don't know, Georgia or Fiji or Japan, etc., where I welcome that more, because I think that makes that part a bit more exciting, and maybe the motivation to Italy or Scotland at this moment in time to obviously improve and try and prove why they should stay in the Six Nations.
Totally. You're completely right. It would make it so much more, not that it isn't exciting now, but what it would do is it would prioritise, some of those teams that maybe, they think they're safe, when actually, when you add that level, it's that additional level of competition, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going, you've got, if you're not winning, you've got to survive and not get relegated. Simple as that.
Absolutely. It would be certainly interesting to see what happens in the next few years with the Six Nations. But as Eddie Jones, the England coach, said, he doesn't like the idea, and mentions that Super Rugby, which is known in Australia and New Zealand, is that it lost its allure, in his words, where when they expanded from 12 teams, it's now 15. It used to be 16, then 50. Now it's 15. It then expanded from 12 teams, and he said it lost the touch. And maybe that's a hint of things to come from what Eddie Jones is saying.